actually to be titled. This is just a title. I titled it. Get this going. I'm gonna shoot this over to ssoreal now. The discussion is Eastern Orthodoxy Christianity? Yeah. Yeah, I gave the link to ssoreal, see when he joins. So I'm just waiting on him. And again, the discussion today is about Eastern Orthodoxy Christianity. Now, if you go watch, I responded to this already. If you go watch my playlist, when I debunked Lizzie Answers, I responded to the supposed Catholic history, and simply, I can show you quotes if I have the resources. To Augustine, it sounds like he was pretty sound doctor. He believed in Lizzie's salvation. He wasn't that sinful, and so each historical view has quotes or supposed quotes to back each one up. I actually heard that quote from Augustine that he can lose his salvation because he got a so no. church history is pretty messy. And it's Catholic church history. Of course, Catholic church history will disguise itself as etymological Christian church history, but it will just be Catholic church history to deceive people and think that the true church is the Catholic Church. To be honest with you, history is not a basis for what we teach. Even the Christian Church has been wrong in the past about stuff. So history is not a basis in what we teach. It is a good point to point to sometimes, but the absolute basis of what we teach is the Scripture. If anything doesn't line up with the New Testament narrative of the church, it's not the New Testament narrative of the church. In fact, when the Eastern Orthodoxy is argued to be argued to be arose around the rise of Islam, and they actually argued to actually compromise or something, because they live around Muslims. So again, the Eastern Orthodoxy actually originates around like the 4th century. The Catholic Church originates years after Peter was dead. Again, so both the Eastern Orthodoxy Church and the Catholic Church has a later origin of the 1st century. Of course, they have to use the apostolic succession, and they have to use twisted history. But you actually go and look, the Catholic Church, both of the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church, is like around the 4th century, later on. So no, it's not the 1st century church. It's the later apostate church. And talk about original sin, he disagreed with original sin in Gnostic. But the Catholic Church teaches that like a baby is defiled with sin because they get blessed because they've been affected with original sin. I'm just waiting on him. He saw the message. He's possibly gonna join shortly. I'm just waiting on Ssoreal. I sent him the link. He's seen the message. Now I'm just waiting on him to join. And about the James White response, I'm going to work on that today. And about the giving you clips of my discussion with talking doctrine, or listening to him, I'll work on that today as well. Honestly, uh, I just need to make sure I start picking up what I'm lacking, you know. So, if I'm not doing anything really in ministry work, I need to be praying over the Bible, or fellowshipping is part of it. But I fellowship more. I fellowship. I need to be actually prayer with God. So, and I'm waiting on him. I'm messaging him to say what. expensive. He saw the link, but he's not. He should be joining. Hey, J-Man. You still watching? Again, I'm still waiting on ssoreal. Okay, came back. He said yeah. I asked her if he joining. Came back said yeah. Oh. Yeah. Again, he said he's joining. I'm waiting. Well, I'm waiting. If anybody had joined that has any questions, I can answer right now. Yeah, I already messaged him. He said he's joining. This discussion today is Eastern Orthodoxy Christianity, and hopefully, I made a point. I made a point to him personally the other day. That hopefully convicted him. I'm not gonna tell you because it's unless he wants to reveal it. Uh, but hopefully that can prick his conscience, prick him. But people get deceived by studying history when they don't even know how complicated history even is. Again, I can show you there's quotes from both sides of the story in church history. Supposed historical quotes. Now they could be explained why. Say, well, Martin Luther had some true doctrine, but he was a raging heretic. So it can be explained, but I can show you close from both sides of the story. I could probably look it up, but no, church history is very complicated. So the idea that you could go and you can look at the origins of church history using history, you can come up with more than one origin. More than one. That's why our basis needs to not be history. Mainstream history is complicated. There's a lot of stuff that is written in there that didn't even happen. There's more than one side to save the Civil War. One would say the Civil War was over slavery, another would say no, it's over money. I actually had somebody came here and they agree with me it's over money. It was an economic war, and it was it was deeper than that. But it wasn't over slavery. In fact, I got a primary source which I showed on the channel that slavery was not slavery was on the way out before the Civil War even started. So you've been lied to. I got a primary source. So you understand there's more than one view to history. History is a complicated thing. Where you say, well, then how do you know? How do you know what's true or not? It takes discernment. And when you have a primary source outside the history books, show me how many primary sources outside the history books tell you that it was over slavery. Gotta weigh in the balances. And you gotta look. We have like a painting or a sculpture of the head of the Confederate Army. He had black children. Unless you want to say he sexually abused them, that kind of goes against the whole. It actually, so the whole thing about slavery was so bad. No, that could be argued against as well. There's a lot of Christian homes that would feed those slaves, and they would have a good. They would get treated well. They would just be servants like in the biblical Old Testament. The idea that owning somebody is bad. Your government owns you. Your government owns you for your marriage license. Your government owns you through taxation. Your government owns you for mortgage on your house. You only spend like $25 on your house. They own you. They own your property. They own you already. Well, well that doesn't prove it's wrong. That doesn't prove it's right. God owns you. Is that wrong? Or no? Who's God? The idea that owning somebody is bad. It depends on how you treat them. What if I was there to buy you, and in buying you, I could give you a new life, a new home. I could clothe you, feed you, give you a job, but I had to buy you. Does that buying you making it bad? Does it make it bad? Initially, no. How you treat it. See, people talk about slavery, and they talk so. It's emotional. You have to. No, I don't think slavery is initially bad. I just think people that say it's bad are people that are humanistic and people that are the emotions. When honestly, if a rich person can buy you that was actually a Christian, actually born-again Christian that had a lot of money, and you were on the street poor, and the rich person could buy you and give you a new home, give you a new life, give you a new job, you would receive it. You would get bought. So I don't think slavery is bad. People are gonna attack me for that. The slavery is initially not bad, depends on how you use it. What do you think, Sawyer? Do you think slavery is bad? You think if someone to buy you and they say I'll give you a job, I'll give you
Yeah,
a
sorry
job.
I'm late. You know, I'm still on the bus.
I'll give you a job and I'll pay you $40 an hour. I'll feed you every night. I'll give you fancy clothes. I'm gonna have to buy you. You know, I won't whip you. I mean, you can work. You can work whatever you want. Buy whatever you want. I'm just gonna buy you. I mean, it depends on how
Who are you talking
slavery.
to?
I'm talking about slavery. A lot of the atheists like to attack the Bible because of slavery. So the Bible approves of slavery. The concept of slavery is not bad. The concept of how you treat it is bad. Like if you buy somebody and you say, hey, I'm gonna give you a job. You can buy whatever you want, do whatever you want, but you're mine. I'll give you food. I'll give you a house. I'll buy
Yeah,
you fancy clothes.
I mean,
I'll pay you
I've
50.
seen like you know in the Old Testament where like to purchase a servant was well really the person actually you know put themselves as that kind of servant, and the master actually had to like take care of them, and you know the servant it was pretty much their job, and you know that was like one of the ways of you know workmanship basically. You know being a servant was like in the context of being more like an employee or sometimes like even like a family member, and that's just the way that it was back in like 5000 BC, 3000 BC, whatever you want to say. Um, it was really later on as mankind got more brutal and, you know, cultural norms started changing. That's when, you know, you have the modern version of slavery that we have today, which everybody is totally against, you know. But the problem is because both the ancient world and the more recent world uses the same word, they assume it has the same weight and meaning, specifically the meaning. Um, you know, and so that's the issue. You know, that's always been the issue. Words have contexts. That's the reason why the meanings of words change.
Technically, your parents own you and you're a child. I mean, if you try to run away, they can do some stuff. They technically own you. Is that ownership bad? No. Depends on how they use it. I mean, so the idea that the idea that ownership is bad in itself, your boss owns you in the limitations. Certainly the slave could have ran away, and like, but it's not bad. And I really want to just go on scholar fiction and just lay this out. I'm gonna just quickly debunk the whole. I'm gonna show you that you cannot use an logically an intellectual or moral argument against God. Now, if he fits the criteria of being the one God, logically there's one God, I can explain that to you. Logically, there's only one God. If he fits the very criteria to fit that, then even then in of himself, by his own description, he defines good and evil in of himself because he goes along with his nature. So if he's the designer, he's the eternal one. That means he defines what's good and evil. That means let's consider this. You may think I'm defending this, but I'm telling you I'm defending logic when I say this. Let's consider this. Let's say, which he did not. That's already clear on the channel. Let's say that God. Hey! Let's say that God condoned rape in the Old Testament. Let's say he did. Let's say God said, my nature. Let's say God's nature did not perceive that as evil, and He makes the rules. That would make it not evil. the design doesn't define what's evil. The designer does. That's simple logic. The robot doesn't define what is evil. The maker of the robot does. So you cannot attack his intelligence because he's the one that defines what's intelligent or not. And you cannot attack what is good or evil because he defines what's good or evil or not. I mean, and there's any atheist that can object to that. That can prove that a robot decides what is good or evil, or is he given the rules and expect to keep them. Even if that was evil, you can't come against it. Because he may say, my evilness is not evil, it's good. You're the one that's messed up. So the whole idea of the moral argument, I understand in a way you can argue it, but it's pretty illogical. And people that always ask for evidence, I really would say to you, you go deep in a person's heart, really go deep in their heart, they do know God is real, they're just bitter, and they hate God. They hate God, He didn't answer their prayers, because he didn't get the opportunities they wanted and the people they wanted to talk to answer their questions. Obviously, listen, I listened to the Old Testament book of Joshua where God commanded his own people, family to be burned alive. And me, I'm listening to it, and I may think, I may not like what I'm hearing a bit, why he would do it, but then the reasoning comes to me and why he did it. Why he did it simply is that the family was defiled. The family wanted to curse thing, and the Deuteronomy. This is called spiritual law. Hey! It's called spiritual law. The Deuteronomy says, hey! Deuteronomy says if you bring in a cursed thing in your house, you come a curse like it. So they were cursed, they were defiled. So in a little leaven, leaveneth the whole lump. So they were defiled the whole camp, but they had to be burned alive. They had to be killed. And plus, if they would continue to live, it was a generational curse, and they would have cursed other people. So it was more logical for them to be killed. Then if you're going to say, well, you're arguing that ends justifies the means. In a sense, that is true. And ends can justify the means. If, let's say, be hypothetical with me, if you're an atheist. If the people are cursed, and then their curse will carry on for future generations and damn other people in their sin, it is more logical, it is reasonable, it is good for them to be killed, to stop the curse from spreading. And if you think why he killed other nations and why all this happened, listen, they were heathen. If they would continue to live, they would have brought forth more people that would have went to hell. So it'd be better to kill the most family off as you can, so the least people go to hell. And plus that was symbology. That was symbolic of how the righteous is going to own the land. How righteousness dominates wickedness. How righteousness conquers over the wicked. That was symbology. And plus, and you may not like this analogy, but nobody has really refuted it. I've given it before, he didn't really refute it. Scholar Fiction didn't refute it. If I make a sculpture, I make a sandcastle, I knock it over. It's not wrong. So if God makes somebody, I don't want to be close to this. God makes somebody try to knock them over into cancer, or knock them over into hell. Is that wrong? No. So the morality argument.
Why would he do it?
No, I just arguing it's the argument just for the. I would give reasons, of course, but these are just arguments to get the whole thing out the window.
Right, but you're saying it wasn't wrong for God to do that.
To do
So,
it because then, but if he would do it, the concept is it wouldn't be wrong.
but would it be wrong if he did it if the person was apart from sin?
Um, it would be wrong if they were justified and that he promised them salvation. Yes, it would be wrong, but you get now you could be the atheist mouthpiece in that. But you get my argument is for the atheists. They liked it for the moral argument. I'm just giving them analogies to kind of knock it out the window.
They like to say it again.
I just give it an I just of course I give reasons to why he would do things, but the concept is you want to come across you want to present arguments kind of just knock the moral thing out the window. Well, you can just use philosophy. You can just say they're hypocrite when they do it. But I tried to use philosophy with scholar fiction. He didn't understand it. Not everybody understands it. You know, you where he what you want them to get? You want to get them to say, yeah, like well, we can't know anything. And the atheists may say, may say, I know I'm not your God. Then I would have to say, and to keep going deeper. Well, how do you know God even exists? How do you know that you're not inside the matrix? The whole point of the philosophy is to get them to come to a point where they say, I really can't know anything, and when they say there's no absolute, so I can reply with this: is that absolute? Or would they say yes? I just now explain them that that's what atheism teaches. There are no absolutes, and you just contradict yourself. And so that's simply how to get atheism out the window. Because you have to prove.
I mean, I just think that atheists just got to come to believe. They're not going to come to this kind of like logical conclusion that proves us wrong.
My view is they know
What happens? Well, yeah, I mean that too, but I just think that
they're
the
just
way
bitter.
that, well, once again, I'm trying to talk, but I think that like you know atheists just, I don't know. I think that a lot of people who are atheists come to Christ by finding unexplained things in life, unexplained supernatural, like things that just don't add up. You know, even physicists have come to believe in God because of the things that they study in the micro world. They see things that just don't make sense, and from there, they see it still like defies the laws of logic or existence, but it still is. And then from there, they just only can conclude that there's some that is operating on some kind of higher law or lawmaker, and people like that, they end up believing in God. And so it's always the illogical, the unexplained, the supernatural that is the way that people come to believe in God. When it comes to like trying to do like an equation that proves it, nope, they always seem to get stuck. But that's been my experience with them. I mean, I don't talk with them much, but you know.
Basically, I'm sorry for speaking over you. I need to watch out with that. But basically, the point is they know something God, but when you throw these facts at them, you just, as I call it, mental warfare. You are throwing the truth in their mind to kind of fight the lies in the mind, kind of the strongholds. The truth, truth is more powerful than the lie. So you kind of planting seeds in the mind, and hope, and then God can do the rest and get in the heart and convict them. They know God is real. You can just go to an atheist and say, you may say God is fake because you can't see him, even though it's an argument from silence. Um, you may say God's not real because this and that, but when you go outside and you walk in the street, you know that if you get hit by a car, it's gonna hurt. Just like you know that if you see a building, someone designed it, didn't evolve. You just let me tell you, you know there's a God. You know there's truth. You may say there's not. Your worldview is incoherent, not coherent to keep the idea of absolute truth. You know there's truth, so you know this is a God. See, the very idea that they know there's such thing as knowledge, absolute truth, absolute morality, proves they know this is a God. They know. You listen. It's called it's a case of self-denial. If you ever look in the atheist eyes and you see the bitterness and the hatred they have, why do they curse God so much? They don't hate him. Why do they cry to Jesus when time gets tough? If he doesn't exist, they cry to God when time gets tough. And Scott Fiction told me, I would believe in God if God would show himself to me who he loves me. The idea is selfish. The idea that God has to go an extra mile just to save you. And God would not be put to the test. You know he loves you. Just by the fact that he sent his son is enough to tell you he loves you. And plus, again, that's an argument from silence. The assertion is that if God didn't show up and tell me and talk to me or speak to me, then he doesn't exist. That's an argument from silence. So the atheism is full of philosophical fallacies. I even noticed that scholars committed, like, he kind of commit. You ever heard of begging the question? That's fallacy when you look at evidence and you insert it. So you insert a conclusion without supporting evidence. So he looks in the Hebrew and he says, this means rape. God, this humble means rape, but if you actually look in the Hebrew, it has more than one definition. It can mean afflicted. It can mean like I looked at it. It means it can mean something good like submission or something like that. It doesn't always mean something like afflicted. So it's kind of like begging the question. It's what annihilationists do. They look at the Greek and they say, look, the Greek says eon means a period of time, but even though eon can mean forever as well. It depends on the context. But what they do, they find, this is really stupid. What they do, they find the word eon, and then they insert it every single time the word hell is used, or the lake of fire is used, or the word everlasting is used. It's I actually talked to a universal reconciliationist on the channel, and he was a heretic. He actually said that heaven's not forever, and good job for that, because that's actually the conclusion. The only way to actually support annihilationism is to support that heaven is not forever, because you'd be a hypocrite if you don't. And the whole idea is, it's just people. The liberal professing Christians are very emotional. Atheists are very emotional. Um, Easy believers are very emotional as well. All these people that have all this false doctrine are very emotional. They're emotional thinkers. You know, I would hear, they argue that God won't forsake you. I would adhere to that. I actually listened to the verse where it says that I will never leave you, forsake you. It's in Joshua, and that context is about if I'm faithful, like I'll protect you. The context of protection. The context is not about salvation. So people twist that, and they say, well, God says, neither height nor depth will separate from the love of God. The context of that, they're doing Gnostic. And if you understand, hold on. Hey! The Gnostics would say that, if you die before the resurrection, you would, what I heard, you wouldn't make it. So, and, people even come across today, if you're sick, you're not saved. If you go for trouble, you're not saved. You're supposed to be prosper. You see that teaching around today. So the context is about encouragement. It's not about salvation. There's actually no verse that says in the Bible that God will not forsake his people. In fact, God said in the scriptures that if you forsake me, I'll forsake you. Of course, he doesn't. So he said, if you have to do it first. If you forsake me, I'll forsake you. So the idea that God won't forsake people is the idea, would your dad forsake you? Or would your earthly dad forsake you? Yeah. So they're using an analogy when I can use the same relational earthly analogy with them to refute the doctrine, and they won't receive it. A good way how to deal with easy believers is to say this, because I would say repentance is a gift. I'll say all this is a gift, but then they say faith is a gift. Yeah, I'm gonna use this next time I'm in a discussion with Matthias. I'm gonna say this. I think your backloading works here, because that's what he says to me. I'm backloading works. If you think a work proves your salvation, your backloading works. You know what? I think you're working your way to heaven with your faith. I don't. I would say that your faith is not a gift. That you're just working it. Because it just to make that point that just as they attack me and say I'm a work salvationist, because even though I've said that you don't gotta repent of your sins to get saved necessarily, and all these things, I've made it clear. I don't think I'm good. I know what the actual scriptural definition of what salvation even is. That's not what I am. It's like the hypocrites, and it's bad. But the discussion today is Eastern Orthodoxy Christianity, and all ssoreal has is twisted history. I've already demonstrated that history, mainstream and church history, very complicated. I can show you a quote from Augustine that says he believes you can lose your salvation. So, and I know the Gnostic side of him said he was a sinner and said he liked to fornicate. So quotes go each way. So you can explain why. Say, well, Augustine was once sound, but then he went heretical. But you get that the basis. I don't even think. I mean, I'm still no. I don't know what you view about divorce and remarriage is, but if you look in the Greek, it doesn't seem that it seems like under a condition you can, under more than one condition you can get remarried. But of course, a lot of people get remarried under because they want to get remarried. But but I always not want to be wrong on that because I don't want to go to hell for teaching false doctrine. So I've been uncertain about that as well. Because that's kind of like a big Of course, but the marriage permanence viewers will just reject you as a heretic, even though you actually care about truth and you actually don't want to be wrong. I really asked them, hey, present to me your case. Present to me why you think marriage is a sin, period. And then, hey, I'm willing to jump. But then they're just, I just want to tell me I'm spreading heresy on the channel, and then you're going to block me. Even though I was not coming on there. And obviously the historical, I mean, we're going on topic. Historical explanation for remarriage being a sin. The church has been wrong on things throughout history. We are part of the church that believes the gifts have ceased. Doesn't mean that's right. So the appeal to history for the origin, and plus I even heard that
Who taught that? I mean, well, who taught that the gifts had ceased? I don't remember the church teaching that.
well I understand if we're around generations from now, which we're in the end times, so I don't think we'll be around that longer, but well, generations from now, people can point back to this generation and say, look, people believe the gifts have ceased in this generation. Thus, that's so appeal. Doesn't make it right. So our foundation, my point of foundation, is see the Bible. But I have even heard that the rise of Eastern Orthodoxy was around the 4th century, around the rise of Islam, that kind of compromised, kind of conformed because of Islam. They were in conflict. And it wasn't the 1st century it was the 4th century. It wasn't the 1st or the 4th. And the Catholic Church didn't rise in the 1st century. They rise later on as well. He was dead by the time they rise. In fact, scripturally, according to what we read. Hey! Give me a second. According to what we read in scripture, that Paul was the apostle to Rome, so Paul would have been the first pope, but that's not the claim. The claim that Peter was the first pope. So it's actually etymologically can be argued to be incorrect from the very foundation. So the Catholic Church, whether I would argue from the ashes of the Roman Empire, Roman Empire paganism, I can show
Wait a
you.
minute, I thought that the Bible said that Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles. Like, where, like, who said that Paul was the apostle to Rome?
Well, I can make that claim. Well, okay, guys, in the music conversation, so of course, demons don't want the conversation to go on. It's kind of weird when I get a good conversation going that like demons try to stop it because this is gonna be used. I already no, but it's in Romans. I'll get the verse. I would not step on any foundation that another man stepped on. KJV. Paul the Apostle to Rome, KJV. Paul the Apostle to Rome, KJV. We see that he wrote the book of, well, somebody wrote for him, the book of Romans. It's somewhere in Romans where he says that, and if, I would not step on any foundation that another man stepped on. Hopefully I got it. Okay, Romans 15:20. Yea, so I strive to preach the gospel where Christ was named, lest I should build upon another man's foundation. So he's claiming he's not going to build upon another man's foundation, and of course he was writing to Rome. So then Peter wasn't the foundation that was laid upon. Well, that's the argument from that scripture, that we can show that Paul was the apostle of Rome. Paul was actually writing to Rome. So, he falls into the Gentiles. Surely Gentiles were, I mean, he witnessed to Jews and Gentiles. You can see that in scripture. You see that he witnessed to the philosophers in Acts. He witnessed to the Gentiles and the Jews. He did both. So, but you can never hear was the apostle.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it was just a question. That's all. You know, it wasn't any kind of like big deal or anything. I've never heard of the apostles fighting over the places that founded churches. I just heard them working together. I never heard them trying to establish any kind of power over one another. Um, I've just never heard that stuff. I don't see them doing it, and I don't know why people would speculate those things. That's all I was saying. But I mean, I know what you mean. Though.
I already demonstrated on a video. I actually addressed Lizzie Answers, and I actually came to her, and I kind of came to her like kind of too harsh. I was making I don't want to lie. I got booted. I got timed out. But then I came out of it with an apology, and I came out gentle. Like I care about you. She's just another religious person that never encountered God, but just encountered religion. I mean, I was raised in the hypocritical religious home where you just go to church on Sunday and you sin on Friday. I was raised in that, and that's why one thing that I see and easily believe is in that they actually teach it. They actually teach like that religion deals with belief system or deals with works to get yourself to God. It doesn't deal with the actual spiritual belief that actually changes the one's heart. So we got to talk. No, but Eastern Orthodoxy was set to arose like in the 4th century, not in the 1st century. Surely they can insert history and they can insert stuff and call it Christian history. But some way Catholicism is called Christian, which is incorrect to say. I already showed you. I can only prove that Catholicism has deep root in paganism. It goes back to the sun behind the Mary pictures, which is Semiramis, and the white Jesus, which is Tammuz. I mean, this is not just I mean, I disagree with Protestantism as well. Protestantism is Catholic too, but I don't call. And you need to understand that I wouldn't call necessarily Eastern Orthodoxy of the devil. Depends on what they believe. Because there's a lot of people that are Catholic or Eastern Orthodoxy, but don't know what they believe. But they were born again. They have light in them. And that's what we're looking for. Like, what do you believe? Do you actually believe? The Bible says if salvation be of works, it is no by grace. You cannot mix people easy believers. Easy believers mess that up. It means if you had to do anything of your strength, then salvation is no more of grace. So works salvation is simply the belief that you need a work by your own strength, your own inspiration, it's simply by your own pride to get to heaven. That's a work of yourself, as Ephesians 2. It's not. But if I say work is of the Spirit, it's not a work of me, so it doesn't count. They don't listen to that. But so if you actually believe that it's faith plus works, which I say it's works through faith. It's one ingredient. It's actually two. Two ingredients. Power of God, work of God that produces the works. We got to find what works because repentance and righteousness and holiness is already a given. But like going to give food to the poor is something that God says to obtain. And say like it's always a given, something to keep doing. Go give to the poor. Go give help with money, stuff like that. The actual works, but repentance, righteousness, and love is already given. Because you can love, people don't need to take that in context. Because I was read somewhere in Romans where, he said, all walking in sin was past tense. And then it says, but works, that's external works, outward works, like giving food to the poor, doing, like really helping people, really going an extra mile, those stuff are external. Those stuff said to keep doing. The repentance and righteousness and forgiving one another, that's already a given. So people need to take that in context. So, the Eastern Orthodoxy doesn't have history. From the origin of the church, it actually was being assertion, has later history. Same in the Catholic Church, it has later history, whether it was built out from Constantine, like it said, or from the actual Roman Empire. It's still a pagan belief system. And people actually discover it's not zeitgeist. Did zeitgeist, when they did zeitgeist, did it cover Tammuz and Semiramis, or did they cover that?
Yeah, they did, but are you actually using zeitgeist as a reference to say that the Eastern Orthodox Church carries pagan practices?
Tammuz, you can see the sun behind the head. The sun is not a halo, it's the sun. So and I can show you there's actually occult believers and people that own the occult. Paganism, the whole idea that Tammuz and Semiramis and people have borrowed from them, the occult knows it's not just zeitgeist. But my objection with zeitgeist would be to say, if I would, they say, well, this had two apostles, this had this had that. If you go on the story of Semiramis, it's not initially like what they say, is it? Because the story of Semiramis and Tammuz is Tammuz was reincarnated. He didn't rise again. So that's the belief. It doesn't actually fit with what the zeitgeist that I have heard. they claim that these gods rose again. No, Tammuz was reincarnated. He was called the reincarnation of They said he rose again, but isn't also said he actually was reincarnated. It wasn't. So it's both stories. We know Tammuz was even mentioned in the Book of Revelation. We know he existed. This god existed. He's a demon god. But so it's not just some fake zeitgeist thing. It actually mentioned the Bible. The people weeping over Tammuz in Book of Revelation. So it's in there. But I would actually, if you have any original sources on Tammuz, I would actually look at them, because I'm not one that would actually misrepresent try to misrepresent anything. Like, I don't believe in terrorism, so I wouldn't use that against a Muslim. Could a Muslim be a murderer? Could a Muslim do some stuff based on Muhammad? Yeah. But a lot of the terrorism is part of the CIA and stuff. It's actually false flag. I mean, yeah, you can see it. After 9, we're going off topic again. After 9/11, you imagine the wars and the deaths that were given the ground to do the war in Afghanistan, and we know those casualties in war. It's like depopulation. What's going on there? And we know if you know the Illuminati, that's what they want to do. They would depopulate the earth. They want to get people intellectually. It goes deep, but it goes deep. That way, you make sure you're a Christian, because if you don't have the Holy Ghost, you're in trouble. You're not really protected. I mean, I'm not saying that I can't get sick. I've got sick. I actually well, I thought it was like bad, worse than it was, but it was just an infection. But I'm saying, like, I have a sort of protection. You go outside and you're breathing in poisonous air, and you're breathing in it's not like you reprobate. It's like you're just deceived. That's why I'm in care. I have reached out to you. It's also good for people to see this kind of thing discussed. Imagine a real Calvinist would come on here and they tell, "Oh, you're just a devil. You're just a you should open up." There's some mean professing Christians out there. I used to be more blunt and more like vicious towards sinners than I am now. Now I'm more gentle and more caring in my approach.
Yeah, that's important.
It's important that I'm not over there saying, you're just an Eastern Orthodox devil. Get out of here. And that's people. Those people. I met one mean Calvinist that was mean. He was prideful. But I also, so there's kind of like a spirit in some Calvinists that is self-righteous, prideful, is like what was in me. I would tell my dad that God hated him, that he's reprobate, and I was kind of fish. The doctrine I came under hardened my heart towards him. It was like a kid, I didn't want to go to hell. I was more like vicious. I was more like, I should be blunt with them sometimes, but when it's need be, you go back to my earlier videos, you'll see a change in the spirit I'm operating in. It's more of a gentle spirit. So it's simply like a self-righteous pride thing. Like, to me, like, I I didn't sin, so because I don't walk in sin. But I didn't sin, so if you sinned, you're just okay. You're a sinner. You're just a piece of garbage. That was God. Good God showed me that I was corrected. But that's what other people need to. You need to have a heart towards sinners because you look outside your window, there's world falling apart. Some people are going to hell. And Lily, you need to be filled with the Holy Ghost so you can cry for them. Because trust me, when I've cried and it was from the Spirit, and actually the blood, I was in front of brethren, they actually felt the Spirit. A brother felt the Spirit in the tears. It wasn't me because I can't just cry on a command. Um, I tried to. I tried to shed tears the same way it did, but it doesn't happen. Um, and for example, I have seen a few seconds of shedding tears. I've seen situation change. Um, so it's powerful. For example, a brother cried for his brother for months, and he ended up name projects too. He ended up dumping his marijuana on the toilet, and he dropped his pornography, and it was good. Like like he didn't stop vaping right away. It was like a few days afterwards he stopped vaping, but that's the power. God doesn't only heal the popcorn prayer. God, please save this person. It's the prayer of tears. What I've seen that works. And it's not just one time, all the time. It's like once. And then he'll answer the desperate prayer. Because there's a lot of strongholds around sinners, and they're getting stronger today. And plus, their own heart hates God, so God has to change that. But so, earlier I demonstrated to you that our only basis you really have to prove. I mean, do we even have original sources on Tammuz? What does the original sources say about Tammuz? Regardless to what the cult believes today, what does the original sources tell? We know he's in the Bible. We know he existed. We know
I
he was.
mean, I mean, I'll go ahead and pull up sources on that move. But if you're right about Tammuz, what would that mean about Eastern Orthodoxy?
I could just at least the sun worship involved in the Catholic Church. That can be shown, and actually some guy that was even in the Illuminati came out, and he got killed later on. Um,
So you're
uh,
saying the
some guy,
Eastern Orthodox
yeah,
Church actually does sun worship?
yeah, they actually do. They don't. I don't say they actually know about it knowingly. That they do it. They a lot of the churches are built towards the sun, and the sun behind Mary, behind all these things of Jesus,
Yeah,
and
you're talking about you're talking about like the earliest halos, which were like balls of light behind the head of saints. That's what you're talking about, right?
we had to prove the halos because I would argue the sun.
Right. I mean, you know, halos, helios. I mean, eventually those, you know, balls of light behind the saints, you know, they eventually later on were just represented as light rings around, you know, the tops of the heads of not just saints but angels. But the whole emblem is about a ball of light in the sun. So I'm still confused as to why you would think that the Eastern Orthodox Church practices sun worship because they put balls of light behind the saints. I mean, do you know the reasons why they did that?
Well, basically the teaching is that they took pagan gods and they Christianized them. That's the
I don't know any Eastern Orthodox Church that have taken any pagan God, Christianized. I mean, I do know the countless, endless um, stories that were recorded that where they've taken, pious people of God and, at the ends of their lives, they were blessed as saints. I know that. But I don't know
See,
any
that's not
decent,
biblical. You're called a saint if you're saved.
huh?
That's not that's not biblical too. The whole it's I mean maybe basically to because I don't have original sources with me about 10 minutes and all the paganism. I do know from testimony that more than more than one testimony from people that were in the occult. They actually can testify. They actually do occult things in the Catholic Church. They can testify.
Hold on,
Uh,
you're breaking up. Say it again.
I actually know from more than one testimony that they actually do occult things in the Catholic Church and actually has occult origins from
Well,
more
we're
than
not talking about the Catholic Church,
well.
but
The
I
the,
but I
the
mean
Eastern
we're
Orthodoxy
wait,
was argued to be a split off from the Catholic Church. Where it's
but time out. You know, I end up we end up talking about, I responded to you by saying that I'd like for you to show me where the Eastern Orthodox Church has taken pagan gods and Christianized them. So far, all I told you is that, the Eastern Orthodox Church has, recorded the lives of pious men and women, and at the end of their lives, they bless them as saints. I mean, that's there. Um, so until you actually show the Eastern Orthodox Church taking pagan gods and making saints out of them, it's just a claim. Um, but
well,
back
I
to
I think I
Tammuz.
think the I think the etymology argument. I don't have the original sources with me, so I would need to reference some sources. I think basically my honest good approach to go after to address the Eastern Orthodox Church is to actually go to the official doctrines and one by one show how they're wrong.
Well, before you do that, um, I asked you a question. I said, do you know why the Eastern Orthodox Church places, balls of light or halos or sun or whatever behind the heads of saints?
Well, we you can say that because that's a symbology of a crown on their head.
No, that's not why they do it. They do it because the face of Jesus was transfigured into light. You know, um, that was him in his glorified body. And when we, according to First Corinthians 15, when we end up being, made like him, we're gonna be made like him. The face of Jesus shone like light, and that was something that happened to Moses. And so when you actually see the saints doing that, that's the reference, the reason why they're doing that, and it's very simple. It has nothing to do with them trying to worship the sun. I don't know any kind of pagans that would like, you know, balls of light behind the heads of their gods. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I've always seen that. Even in the Egyptian motifs, you've seen like the sun shining down on, you know, animal headed humans. You never saw like the sun directly behind like the heads of pagan gods, you know. But I don't know. I mean, hey, I could be wrong, but when I look at the reason why Christians actually did that, it had everything to do with what happened to Jesus. And so, you know, the great promise was that we would be like him. And they were drawing those promises because they believed it, you know?
But one of the also issues I mean, I don't have a religious with I can actually give you a good case for it. Um, but um, I haven't watched the whole movie Zeitgeist. I just know a lot of the claims, some of the claims are actually incorrect. According
Well,
to
I've actually studied Zeitgeist, and Zeitgeist was so wrong that even non-Christians begin to debunk it. It was bad. It was really bad. Atheist scholars put Zeitgeist in the trash can, um, just as much as, nearly all the, Christian scholars have, and especially the apologists. I mean, you're talking like just straight up like that documentary was like flat out refuted, like bad, like everybody. Um, so I don't know really what the I mean I don't know. I put it this way. Um, I have the claims up here about Tammuz. One says, now you're looking for something where he had like a halo or something. Am I right?
no, they say like Tammuz was the reincarnation of Nimrod.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that. Um, well, I do know that it says here there's a claim that Nimrod or Tammuz has died and resurrected, and it says here um, this one appears to be true in some versions of the story, though the details don't match up to Jesus at all. The story is that Tammuz was guarding sheep when he was slain by a flock of demons, or in an alternate version, the gods of thunder. He later returned, though exactly what brought him back to life isn't described. Apparently, he's supposed to have spent 6 months out of every year on Earth, and presumably the other 6 months in the underworld. This is a metaphor for the fertility of crops. There's another version that a visitor told me about Tammuz himself isn't killed, but is the reincarnation of his murdered father, Nimrod. Some critics also claim that Tammuz was the inspiration for the Apostle Thomas, though they don't say how Tammuz and Thomas compare, other than a similar name, of course. Akaria S credits the claim to Barbara Walters' Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets, which makes this claim and many others without a shred of real evidence to back it up, nor any logical argument for how Thomas and Tammuz compare. And that came from
I wouldn't be like a skeptic about it. I would just say that I heard that the Tammuz was the reincarnation of Nimrod. And a reincarnation is not a resurrection anyhow. Not the same thing.
right. So if this is the case, so far the stories about Nimrod hold no weight about, the Eastern Orthodox Church,
No, the direct attack
Mm.
directly would be supposed to harm us against the Catholic Church. But I think better is to the Catholic Church believes in the claim of the saints, and I know the argument. I heard Catholic answer give an argument, and it was faulty. He said, you know, the prayer of the righteous man availeth much, and like basically how righteous would you have to be in the kingdom of God? Thus, we would even ask them to pray for us. But no, the context of that would be like a living righteous man praying, not a dead one in heaven. And Jesus is the mediator, the only mediator, and that's the mediator that go between. I went through a situation where I had a mediator where I know what a mediator is. Go between. You have the mediator, you have your attorney speak for you, and that's what it is. Like, the The Bible says there's one mediator between God and man, that the man Christ Jesus. So, no, that's a false doctrine. In fact, that's necromancy. The belief that you can pray to the dead, or whatever you want to say, it's condemned in the Old Testament. You can't do that. So I want to go by the biblical doctrines and show you how. I'm just saying they're wrong in anything. I mean, there's some Catholic doctrine that I would listen to, and I would say, we kind of agree. I agree that faith works through love. How do we explain how that is? Are we saying that faith and love work separately together? Work separately, or is that faith is manifested by love, which is manifested by obedience and being one with God's nature through loving your neighbor and loving Him? Are we saying it's separate? Are we saying it's separate like it's a work? Depends on how we define it. So the fact is, what Paul taught: if you misdefine work, then you'll work salvation. Then the grace thing is disqualified. So I do know that the Eastern Orthodox Church does teach faith plus works. That would be no, it's not faith plus works. It's his faith wrought, produced his work. It's not separate. It goes together. One. What they say, faith plus works. And that's, the Catholic Church says the same thing. Paul said, if it be a work, so it's no more grace. And
I mean, James 2 says that faith without works is dead. It seems like they do.
Yeah,
go together,
if you listen to the context of that, it says that and Abraham's faith wrought. Abraham, his faith produced works, wasn't separate. I'll look at the context.
But I mean, even James says it. He said, I will show you my faith by my works. I mean, they seem to be like, kind of like commingled.
No, my argument is that it's saying that argument against dead faith versus will faith. Will faith is active and produces works. But
I have to show where, like, the Bible says that it's okay for you to do works outside of the context of faith. Like, because, like, and of course the Bible doesn't say that at all. It says that any kind of works that you do, they're within the context of faith. You're never supposed to do good works apart from faith. Like, you're supposed to do good works within your faith. You know what I mean? It's like a vine connected to, a tree. You know what I'm saying? Like they're both connected. And and if that's the case, then that means that you're not depending on your works to have any kind of salvation, because it's always, whatever kind of works that you do, they're always done within something that will make you never count on your works, which is your faith. It's more like if that is the case, then what it really comes out to is faith plus works equals service, or, what the Bible calls ministry. Minister, servant, it's basically the same word in Greek and English. It's like you gotta have faith, you gotta have works. If you do those together, you begin to serve. You have some service, or you're a minister. If you remove from trouble,
Chapters argued against easy believers that say you don't gotta have any works. You can just sit here and be a bum and not repent and just keep on sinning. That chapter, see, where I go to that says, thou believest that there was one God. Thou doest well, the devils believe and tremble. So I would say it's showing the nature of true faith, a faith of a true Christian versus the demonic faith of a religious zealot. So That's my case for James too. I'd easily believe this.
All right, get off.
Are you free like within an hour to do a part 3? Cause
Yeah, but I'll be doing a hangout.
so how many minutes do you have to do this conversation?
Well, I mean, I guess it all depends on when you leave because I was really gonna do a hangout when I got home from church today, which I just got home not too long ago. But yeah, I mean, we can talk. I mean, I mean that's fine. I got like I guess a little bit of more time, but
Hold on.
it sounds like you have to go.
Hold on. But I want to go through real quick the Eastern Orthodox doctrine. I know that the plane of the saints. I know that. I know what else do we teach. Um, we already went through. Theosis is heretical. Uh, I know what they go to. They go to the divine nature. That divine nature is supernatural righteousness. Within context, it says, um, um, I beseech you, brethren. Uh, wait, what is it? I'm trying to think of the but I know the context says, who have escaped the corruption which is in the world through lust. Taken from righteousness, not divinity. So the divine nature is supernatural righteousness.
Where does it prove that partaking of the divine nature is supernatural righteousness? I've never heard of supernatural righteousness.
Well,
I mean, I've heard of righteousness, you know what I mean? But is it we are to be partakers of the divine nature? That really does, something you really take up because of,
who have escaped the corruption which is the world through lust. The context is about sin. So
okay,
that's righteousness.
right. Partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the world, through its lust.
Walking in the spirit, baptism of fire. It's a miracle. I don't have the baptism of fire, but if you want to know how you even said to get it, it's pretty scary because if you mess up when having it, you can be cut off and not come back. So I have been to. I don't want it because I don't want to have any. Because what I've heard, it gets more easier to get cut off than it is if you didn't have it. So I don't want it. You don't gotta have it to go to heaven. Just
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're. I'd like to know, like, why is theosis heretical?
theosis is a radical if it teaches that you can become God or a God, divinity. That's
right.
what I heard.
So basically, you don't fight against like the scriptures or anything. You just fight against their conclusion
about, what they say about the process. They say that, you will be deified. You will be like him. And so I guess you don't like how they use the phrase God, or a God, and then when you look at like the context of that phrase, like a God, they don't mean it in the pagan sense at all. Like they're really talking about becoming children of the Father.
Even, um, yeah, I guess we can talk about this some other time. Get off your butt and take care of your dog. We can talk about this another time. So guys, be blessed. I love you guys in the name of Jesus Christ. See you soon. I mean, it's good to do this live because people can see this stuff being addressed. But but I think we really need to like examine the core confession of the even Orthodox Church and see if we can find anything heretical in it. Examine the origin of it. Examine the
Yeah.
so. Uh, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you later. Be blessed, guys. Love you guys in the name of Jesus Christ. Bye.